Hello, everyone. Today is January 25th. This is a meeting of the Kubernetes special interest group for release. This is a meeting that will be recorded and available on the internet later, so please be mindful of what you say and do. Please be sure to adhere to the Kubernetes Code of Conduct, and in general, just be awesome folks. So we've got a pretty sparse agenda, and I would say for anyone who's interested in putting something on open discussion, feel free to, but we're going to walk through some of the standard topics, some of the sub-project updates, as well as an emergency release. In fact, let's maybe start off with the emergency release. Adolfo, do you want to take that?
Yeah, so on Friday, regression was found and rather fixed regarding the way regarding data loss that may happen when CRDs are structured in some way. And the regression was fixed on merged on Friday, so we gave it until today to let the fixes go through CI and the markers work. So Jim volunteered for coding the release, Jim Angel, and then we updated the website yesterday. I think I missed something in the website because it didn't show up.
Did we merge? I'm not sure if we merged them. I know the PRs went up, but I'm not sure if we merged them. Oh. So we can check in on that.
Yeah, I saw the chatter in my AM, so I'm not sure what happened there. But I sent the patches to update the website with the release, and also sent out a notification with the technical details that the folks hadn't discovered the issue. And so hopefully later today we'll cut the release as soon as Jim can get on it.
And we've drained patches. We've drained any cherry picks.
Yeah, all the cherry pick queue was trained last night. I went through them and approved most of them. Only there was a larger one for 122, which I left it outstanding to see if we.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then Navroom was checking during the night that the tests went through, so we should be good on that front.
Okay, perfect. Any questions on that? Awesome. Separately, I've opened, well, or rather Jim has opened, I asked and Jim was happy to, the separate discussion around like what we do, how we discuss like out of band releases. I think that, you know, these requests come up infrequently enough that we don't have a process for it per se. It kind of, you know, if it rises to the occasion of being something important that we should go out of the standard patch cycle, which in this case it is, then we do it. Just as long as there's justification, it's well documented. We have release notes and we've sent notification to the community. So that's what happened here. But we should codify it somewhere. So that issue is open. It is 1832 on the SIG release repo. If anyone is interested in commenting on it or working on it, would be happy to have someone do that. Sweet, cool. All right, next up. Always checking if I'm actually muted or not. Next up, you, Adolfo, I think this is you again, for the SPDX Stockfest.
Yeah, so we have our Kubernetes SBOM tool, which is starting to get used by more projects. And the tool is actually incubating right now in the automated compliance tag from the Linux Foundation, and we get to collaborate and discuss there with other tool makers. So this coming Thursday, they are organizing an event where they will be comparing the outputs of different SBOMs together to see if we are actually interpreting the standards in the same way, to check how compliant the tools are, and mostly to see if we are working together in the right direction. We submitted the samples from our tool on last Friday, and I got the invitations to the event if anyone wants to join me in attending and representing the tool there. Just hit me in Slack and I can send you the invite details.
So I think in general, like when we do this, we should just add the, like if it's an open invite thing, we should just add it as an event to the SIG release calendar.
Okay, sounds good.
That way there's no like multiple DMs or back and forth about like who did or didn't get invited, or like, oh, I would have loved to see this kind of thing. And yeah, we'll just add it to the SIG release calendar and keep it simple.
Okay, sounds good.
Awesome. Thank you for your work there. I'd love to see that all of this really exciting cross collaboration is happening. You know, I'm definitely, as I'm like checking out the other communities in the ecosystem, like I'm starting to work on some stuff in OpenSSF, and you're like, wow, you're like, oh, you're over here too. So like, I think it's a really cool opportunity to collaborate, since we're all trying to kind of head towards the same goals, and hopefully we can use the same tools to do that, right? So thank you, Adolfo, again for your work there.
Happy to learn it.
All right. Cool. Where are we next? Where are we going? We are going to, I think that was roughly it for the topics. We can, if people have their own topics they want to share, we can do that. We can give a few minutes for that. If not, we can jump into the project boards and do a little rundown there.
I had a brief update for the release. Just things seem to be going pretty well. I put an update in Slack yesterday, kind of outlining where we are, but I think things are going pretty well. I just checked the enhancement sheet, and there's about 70 or something enhancements currently opted in, and we're still over a week away from enhancements freeze. So
that's exciting.
It's a chunky release apparently. So we'll see how that goes. That's fun. I don't have anything specific to report. The one question I wanted to ask, I'm not sure how much this has come across. I've been trying to do as much in public as possible. The release team historically has done quite a lot in kind of group DMs. So I've been trying to push out into shared channels as much as possible. Is that coming across? Is that useful? Is it too chatty? Not chatty enough? Thoughts,
Absolutely.
Opinions?
Absolutely. It is exactly the level of chatty that we need. And I think we had an initial discussion about this around like a release team leads channel. Separately, I don't think it's required. I'm happy to be proven wrong. I love when there's chatter happening in the SIG release channel. So it's not a matter of like, I need to figure out like, okay, they're talking about a release somewhere. Maybe they're talking about like the nitty gritty of it. And I'd like to see where that is. And like, this is me with like a contributor hat on, and not having to figure out which channel to go to, knowing that like I can just go to the main SIG release channel and it's there, even if it seems to be chatty to some. I think it's the right level of chatty, right?
Yeah, that's fine by me. I mean, my strategy once you said that was just to be chatty in SIG release until you got sick of it and told us to go away. But if that hasn't happened, then no problem. Doesn't matter to me.
It won't happen.
Cool. Yeah. Unless anyone has any questions about the release, or Joseph, if you have any particular update, I think we're
doing in great shape. I was trying to get the orientation done this week, but I'm a little late, so I'll probably get to it next week. But outside of that, it's been very smooth sailing.
That is awesome to hear. Thank you. All right, release managers, do we want to give an update? What do we got?
Well, I think I'm the felt on me again. So, well, nothing much. I think uh, from so currently it's just the emergency cut today, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if there's an update from Lebron. I don't have one. Okay, so nothing beyond the emergency cut today.
Okay, cool. So I know there are some. I see. I'm trying to think based on the people I see on the meeting. I know there are some open PRs. They may still be open, or maybe not. Leo, did you get everything you needed merged in terms of the CI signal stuff? We can. I see you're unmuted, but your volume is not so great. Leo says 1 sec. All right, while we're waiting, I see Eddie on the call as well. I have the artifact distribution cap on my desk. We're just doing a bunch of end of quarter stuff. So it has dropped a level or two down the list for now.
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm hoping to get that out for Wednesday though.
We targeted 124 as a stretch goal. Okay. So if it doesn't make it.
Okay. I would still like to keep the momentum going. I think that I think the sooner we figure it out, the sooner we can move on to other tasks or actual implementation. So
yeah, it's there's a lot going on with that right now, honestly. Tim Hawken tagged Ben the Elder to take over. And so Ben's kind of kicked it into overdrive with working on implementation and stuff and figuring out what we do there.
okay.
We are running out of money in terms of the account. So yeah, there's a bit of a fire under everyone to get it sorted.
Fun. Is there anything?
Are we talking about the CDN issue here?
Yes.
Thank you.
So CDN egress spend on to AWS is essentially a core component of that. Is there anything that we can do from like a technical perspective while is there anything we can work on in parallel, like to either either on the SIG release side or to aid Kate's infra that is not the KEP that we can maybe push people at?
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure Ben has got a full handle on the situation now. And last I heard from him, he was writing up a technical design doc to move forward on. So.
Okay. Sounds good. Sweet. Leo, are you back now?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. So from SIG Release, there's not a PR open, but I have a PR open to update the handbook, the Signal handbook. Nobody commented yet. I added a couple of templates which we used in the past. So for example, to send the weekly CI Signal report to KDev and so on. And I think it would be useful to share those templates. Maybe would be interesting to get a couple of like different point of views from anybody. And besides that, I'm in contact with 2 other contributors who would like to work on the CI Signal CLI, so on the report CLI. So I paused for now the work, so to get them basically a couple of tasks. And but I have another issue open, which I didn't have time yet to come back to. We spoke about it 2 weeks ago. It's about these CI Signal like platform dashboard, something like that. Basically, Hussein, the last CI Signal lead, developed like a platform he would like to donate. And yeah, I will focus on the next, as soon as I have time. So probably next week or so, to get it donated. There was like a question about the ownership.
Yeah, so this would be managed by release engineering, and I would imagine that in an ideal world, the primary managers would be CI Signal, but given that that's a rotational team, we'd probably put the CI Signal team on with access, but release managers as the backup owners, or the go-to owners. I would say if there is a tool somewhere, can we file a donation request in, like, let's kick off the conversation that way. We saw with the and since you're a part of this, we saw with a CI Signal report tool that when things take a little bit to donate, the manner in which the code flows through is words. So yeah, I think the sooner we get it under SIG release management, the sooner we can start applying the various things that we do, making sure things are linted, making sure they're actually reviewed by the release engineering team. And I will, so here is a link to the donation request. There are a few things that need to happen ahead of a donation, which include making sure there's a contributing doc, making sure there is a code of conduct, license, we have owners that we have, we have owners that we're considering. The owners are not so important if this is if this is going into SIG release territory. The owners are not so important because we'll handle that on the migration. But making sure that commit history looks good, we have an idea of who owns it, and it is properly licensed for Kubernetes before it goes out. And there are instructions within this issue template that's in the Slack chat. It's in the Zoom chat, rather.
Perfect. I will probably report then next week how far I've come. But I already looked at a couple of the guidelines, and I think most of them are already met, so it shouldn't be too hard or too complicated. And for the last month or so, I think there hasn't been a lot of changes to the repository, so I'm not too concerned about any changes or something. So
20 commits. Last one was end of November. There's an Apache license. We just need the code of conduct and a few other things in there to move forward. Eddie, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, sorry, I just want to clarify for the record. I was talking specifically about container registries, not artifact binaries. So what Ben is jumping into is figuring out the container image registry proxy situation thing. So that's what he's doing. He's not doing the specific kube control binary stuff. Sorry.
Yeah. No. I assumed it was for the image registries, but thank you for making that clear for everyone. All right. So sounds like Ben is on it. Leo, you will work with Hussein to do the donation request. I will follow this info request because any code that we're potentially going to use, we should probably proceed with the donation request ahead of any requests for infrastructure, just to keep the conversation in the right place to start. All right, cool. We are, all right. Anything else for open discussion? Any updates or questions that people want to ask before we move on?
Yeah. Hey. So I would like to highlight that we are right in the implementation phase of the container image signing MVP. So this is the tracking issue, and I created a bunch of sub issues. So they are implementation related. So we have to implement the whole thing into the release SDK. And then there are also some infrastructure changes. So for example, we have to take care that if we do it in Google Cloud Build, that the service account is able to actually sign those images and stuff like that. And I would like to encourage everyone to give this tracking issue a look, because there are a lot of issues below that which are marked with need help. So if you're interested in implementing one of those bits, or generally want to know what is going on and how can you help, then feel free to reach out to Adolfo or to myself, and we will guide you through it.
Reach out within the release management channel so that we can all keep track and dive in as well. Again, to the earlier point, drive communication to public channels where and whenever possible. But this is awesome. I saw this service account token creator thing pop up, and we should talk about it more in the release engineering meeting. By the way, can everyone see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. All right. So basically here we want to be able to impersonate a service token within GCP, right? Is that how I'm reading it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Okay. So it's to create.
Yeah.
Sorry, go for it.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I was thinking if we probably could solve it by changing cosign, which I'm not completely aware if we really need this service account token creator. Because in theory, in Google Cloud Build, we only have one user, and I'm not sure if we really have to impersonate a different service account, or if we can grant the right permissions to the currently used service account. So we have to find out, is it really necessary?
Yeah. Well, the thing is the user. So when you're running a cloud build run, the GCP run, right? You're running in the context of the cloud build user already, right? So it is a service account. So on GCP running. So this, yeah. So the second one assumes that you're. Yeah, so I think, if you were to give, I feel like if you were to give the GCP service account the creds that it needed, it wouldn't have to do any impersonation, right? Well, the question becomes, how is Cosign doing the authentication, right? If Cosign's using like ADC, then Cosign would need to. That's fair, right? Cosign would need to impersonate. So if it's doing like an application default credentials flow, it would have to impersonate GCP. Yeah, so I guess that's right. But yeah, we should poke around with this. We should question this, because I think there is a security concern about escalating those privileges. And it's, yeah, so part of the reason you're doing this is we're doing ephemeral tokens, right?
Do we? Yeah.
Well, I mean, for this keyless, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
for the keyless situation, right? It's a throwaway token. Yeah.
Exactly. You need the token, the permission to get the token so that you can complete the flow. So I think we're going to need it. Maybe we can at some point think about which user can perhaps having just a sign user. I don't know. Was there a security concern raised somewhere, or?
Within the issue that Sasha opened, I think, yeah, I'd like to point out that this can be a security concern. We should just tighten that up and figure out like where, because like within the context of GCP, we have an expectation that only release managers will be in there, right? So like that's one kind of security dome, so to speak, right? But like something else to consider is that our releases run on Google infrastructure. And like, we need to figure out like exactly where we need service account creator access, right? So like, is this, so the way the flow works today is essentially we have two tokens, or at least two tokens within our GCP runs, right? One is for the, well, three, right? So one is for Docker Hub auth for anything that needs authentication. I'm trying to think if we even need that anymore, right? But less important. The other two are GitHub tokens. One is a read token for the stage phase to generate the release notes, and the second one is a repo write token for the release phase that actually pushes the release to Kubernetes. Those tokens are stored on Kubernetes release or Kubernetes releng prod. And there is a little doc here that may or may not be super up to date. It's worth taking a look to kind of explain the various projects that we have for Kubernetes release in GCP. So there are a few that are in Google territory. It's Kubernetes release test and Google containers, right? Those two, or Google containers, might just be a bucket that we push to within another project. It might be like the Kubernetes release project, right? But anyhow, like, these two are Google. These three are Kubernetes infrastructure, and we've got a few more because of the this is worth an update because we've got a few more for the the image promoter testing stuff, right? And the image promoter like fake prod, right? But these are the projects that are specific to Kubernetes releases. These are projects that are specific to release engineering, right? So this one is deprecated. This one is also deprecated. This one is active. This is where we push all of our staging images for release engineering itself. This one is where we push staging images for the core Kubernetes release. No, that's wrong. It's this one right here. This is the one that we use for pre-submits. We're pushing images for pre-submits. This one is used for KMS, right? So the tokens that we're getting within the staging and release part of the process are stored or unlocked using keys from KMS, right? So the GCP run has access to unlock and read those out, right? So that's something to be aware of. Like, if depending on where we want to generate the keys from, that's going to determine what the permission set is, right? We want to make sure that we're doing it not on the Google side, but on the Kubernetes infra side.
But still, you need an identity, right, to go and sign. So what I would propose is that I'm going to dump this in the issue later, but I would say that we, instead of generating the token from the account that's running the build, we create another service account that has the token generator, and have the account that runs the build impersonate the other, and then that one has the signing, use the token of the second one to sign. Because if you generate the first one, you can get it compromised at some point.
Yeah, so that's actually what it suggests. So that's great. Creating the service account for the signatures. And then that's why the grant is happening, because it's actually not within the context of the GCP user. Cool. So yeah, I agree with that. We should figure out what where we want to put that account. Like, if it's something that we want on releng prod, if it's something that we want specifically within like the staging Kubernetes, because something to consider is that as we run this flow for X amount of projects, right, we're eventually gonna go to the point where, I mean, we'll be running to two streams in parallel, right? One is solving it for core Kubernetes, but the other one is solving it for all of our other projects, right? So I think, you know, BOM is a potentially good one to look at doing this for, or the image promoter stuff itself, right? Or the artifact promotion stuff itself. So like kpromo, being able to do two separate flows where it's like we have that small project flow and then we have that very specific Kubernetes, core Kubernetes flow, right? And I think the smaller project flow will help inform the core Kubernetes one. So all of that said, we should decide if we want a single account somewhere that we can impersonate, or if we want one per project. Right, per project is harder, or it's just a little bit more work, but you know, like we just need to figure out where we want our security boundary to be, right?
Sounds
Cool.
like a topic for the next release engineering meeting.
Was just about to say, yeah. So if anyone wants to put that on the agenda for the next RelEng meeting, feel free to. I will, let's see how quickly we can jump into this. So this is the, so we have a bunch of different project boards within SIG Release. This is the top level project board for SIG Release. There's also one for artifact management, one for the release team, multiple for CI signal, one for release engineering. So in these meetings, what we try to do when we remember and when we have time is that we try to run this project board and see where things are at. So I'm already seeing a few things that are, you know, so rewrite milestone maintainer is actually done, and these are, you know, so let's do a little cleanup here. And actually go to is closed. And just make sure that things that are closed are actually in the places they should. Come on. For whatever reason, I can never drag on camera. All right, come on. And maybe this suggests that we have too many columns. So yeah, this is, you know, so we have one for KEPs, we don't have one for untriaged and triage backlog, and this seems we can probably clean this up a little bit, but that's all right. You don't need to see me watch me do this. But let's look at some of the things that are in the queue. So this query is basically, so one, going to show, you know, we can do, I just want to show the way the board, what the linked repositories are for the board. It's the release repo, the community repo, and then SIG Release, right? So just note when we're putting things on this board, we want to make sure that we're putting things on the board that are not already covered by another board, right? We want to put things on the board that are top level SIG Release concerns. And it's great that this query is okay. All right, so discussing and documenting the process for out-of-band releases, that's a release engineering concern, so we don't need to add that, right? Release engineering. This is release team. Artifact distribution, CAP2 roadmap, that is us. Doc shadows to team, this is release team. Release team is properly archived, that is a to-do for this board. A better read me. You know what, let me put it in to-do so it doesn't get lost. Document where to find container images for Kubernetes components. This is release engineering. Release engineering, release engineering, branch name, rename, branch rename, in progress. For KK, that may not even be us. Engineering. Yeah, so much of this is release engineering. Define and implement release cadence survey. I would say that is relevant. This is something to consider. Entry and exit criteria for Kubernetes maintainer team. That's primarily on GitHub management, but we should have some input there. Changing default branch names to main. This is in progress. And I'll stop there for now and make sure that we have captured everything that is in K-release issues as well. Right, design. Okay, this is release team. So I will SIG release team. It's a little bit of both. All right. All right. I think that's enough. I'm just going to put these on and then we can start walking for realsies. James, if this is wrapped up, let's close it out. Cool. We got a board. Let's go. All right. Do you want to try to drain PRs first? Let's try to do that. All right. So I know these two are in flight. I don't know, was Carlos on the call?
No.
Okay. Right. So rewrite milestone maintainer. This has been open for a while. And I don't know where it's at. Max is, I don't think I saw Max on the call. This seems pretty standard, but it has been a while, so it's worth revisiting and maybe it needs a rebase. Does it need a rebase? Okay, well, it was reopened and we have to do some CLA checks, so we'll keep that moving. The branch rename. So basically this is to rename the branch for Kubernetes to main. Looks like there are still some open questions before approval, but that is on, I guess it's on Sasha and my desks. Let's see. Okay, it's got no reviewers, approvers yet, which is fine. It's provisional. So let's try to lock that one in. This one is adding to the roadmap. Is it held until the KEP merges, or?
I think so, yes.
Okay. I don't know. I think this is fine. We should just add it. Fine.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's good.
All right, moving on. All right, so we know default branch name is in progress. Developer guide audit for release. Currently assigned to Jeremy. Okay, Jeremy to pick it up. Jeremy, are you on the call? I don't think I saw him. All right. It's evangelize, milestone maintainers. All right. So this was, we also had that milestone maintainer cleanup, right? So. All right, this one is on me. I have an email out to Arno, not our Arno, but an Arno from IBM who's also working on OpenSSF. Basically, this is to distribute hardware tokens to release managers and other important personnel. Creating the 1Password vaults. I know this has been a thing that we've wanted for a bit. And it has just kind of fallen on the backlog. This is in progress. Bob created SIG Release as well as a release engineering vault, or I think at least the SIG Release one, maybe the release engineering one will be coming soon. When all of that goes through, I will start dumping for admins and leads, start dumping creds like the Zoom host key and information into the respective vaults. And then for release managers, I will start dumping the things like the triage party token and the read token and the write token for the release robot and other fun things. But yeah, this is on my plate. And all right, to do. Let's do this. All right, so we got some things that have no assignees. Let's see if we can find assignees for these. It's initial draft of the branch rename. That's not ours, so I want to sign that one. Better read me. Yeah, this is where it's elaboration. Yeah, this is a help. Oh, yeah, it's a help wanted. It's not a good first issue though. Start with the admins. I know we're coming up on time. Is this 50 minutes or full hour we're doing? No, we are beyond time. We are over time. Anyhow, so I will stop sharing. All right. Well, thank you all for hanging out while I putz around with a project board. Thank you for the conversations. I will see y'all at the next one. Next one is release engineering next week. Take it easy, everyone.